What's up YouTube, Oliver from Tech TV here. In today's video I'm going to be doing a review of Pixelmator, which is a Mac graphic design software. Okay, so this is the screen that you're presented with. When you first launch the application, you've got the option to create a new image, open an existing image, or open a recent image. So we're going to go to create new image. This then brings up a window that allows you to choose from any of these presets. So you've got some standard resolutions and things here, and then you've got these are adverts: rectangle, medium rectangle, leaderboard, and white skyscraper. They're standard advert sizes, and I believe these are they're in inches. I think they're standard. I know 4x6 is like the size of a photo frame. It's like a standard, so I think they must be standard image sizes. And then you've got paper here, etc. And then obviously you've got the iPhone and iPad desktop, which is great if you're an app developer or something like that. And you've also got your iTunes artwork, but then I've added my own custom preset because I like to start from a 1280 by 720 pixel blank canvas. And of course you can click on the gear icon here if you want to modify the presets. If you want to add your own or remove some of those, you can do so from clicking on the gear icon. Go on to manage presets. Okay, so this is what the screen looks like when you open up a blank document. You've got your document here, and then you've got your tools on the left, and on the right you've got layers and brushes. The layers and brushes can be closed off, as you can see, but I like to keep those out. You can just go to view and then show layers and show brushes and what have you to turn those on. And the tools, which can also be moved, but they can't be hidden, because you would always need to use those anyway. Okay, so firstly I'll go through what each tool is. So we've got the Magic Wand tool here, the Move tool, the Rectangular and Elliptical Marquee tool, the Lasso tool and Polygonal Lasso tool, Crop tool, Slice tool, Eraser tool, the Brush tool, the Gradient tool, the Paint Bucket tool rather, the Sponge tool, the Smudge tool, the Dodge and Burn tools here, the Clone Stamp and Healing tool, the Red Eye Correction and Smart Eraser tool, the Blur and Sharpen here, and then you've got the Pen and the Freehand Pen tool, along with the Text tool, Shape tool, which gives you more shapes when you click on it, and then you've got the Zoom tool and the Eyedropper. And basically, whenever you click on a different tool, the options appear along the top here. So for example, when I'm on the Magic Wand tool, you've got different rows to select from by clicking on one of those boxes, or you can use the gear icon to get all of the options. So for example, when I'm in the Move tool, I can click on the gear icon to allow me to do a transform, or I can rotate the image standard from here, or flip it, etc. And I can also use this to place a guide, and I can choose the exact position. Although I like to have the rulers switched on, so I can just drag guides out from the side. I believe you can only do that when you've got the rulers activated, because you've got somewhere to drag it from and you can position it exactly where you want it. But I like to have that switched on. But of course you can go into the gear tool up here when you're on the Move tool if you want to place a guide in a specific location. When you go to the brushes tool here, this is what I've got this palette for at the side. You've got lots of preset brushes, as you can see, and then you can click on the gear icon once again to open up more brush types, for example, nature, grunge, etc. But I like to keep mine on the default. And then you've also got the standard, the options here. So you can adjust the shape tip, so you've got diameter, hardness, spacing, scatter, flow, etc. etc. So you've got a lot of brush dynamics sort of options there. The next tool I want to point out is the Gradient tool. If you click on here, you get the Gradient editor. And of course there's some standard ones here. There's a few, not very many, but you can create your own by just clicking to create new stops where you want them. And then just clicking on the stops. And basically Pixelmator uses the system's built-in colour selector. So you've got your colour wheel, or the sliders, or any of the standard palettes, which is good if you're a developer, because for example all of the colours that you tend to use for app development and things are all there. So you might want to make something you decide to fit in with that. I'm not sure if everybody has a developer palette. They probably do, to be honest with you, but I'm not 100% sure. It might only be if you've got Xcode installed. Not too sure on that one. And then of course you've got your spectrum image, so you can just pick a colour from somewhere in this image if you want to do it that way. And then you can choose whether you want to open up a different image, etc. You've got the crayons. I like to have these on when I just want to pick standard colours, because it's really easy to find black, white, and there's some nice grey colours. So I like to keep these on when I just want to pick standard colours, because I've got quite a lot of options there. And it's just quite quick because you just click on the crayon as opposed to having to use the colour wheel to get the exact tool that you want. I just prefer to use those. And of course you can enter a hex code here. Another thing which is a benefit of using the built-in system colour palette is you've got the magnifying glass, so you can select colours. It'll only do it within the image. For example, I could just go over here. If there was a particular colour, say I want to know the colour of this up here, and select it, and the colour appears, so I can use that, which is very handy. So you could go for example, you could have a web page behind and I could select a colour from a logo or something like that. If I needed to find out a specific colour, that's quite handy to be able to just do it that way. So that's a benefit, to be honest, of using a system colours palette, because you've got quite a lot of advanced options. And that's how it works basically. And then you can drag the opacity, that's these little things out the top, so if you want it, it's normally just on standard in the middle, but if you want to have it really so it's got quite a lot of transparency, you can do that. But some of these, for example this one where there's transparency in the middle, have the transparency sliders set so that that happens. So that's the gradient tool. Now the next tool I'm going to show you is the shapes tool. The rounded rectangle, or any of the shape tools basically. I'm just going to use the rounded rectangle because it's a good example. The way this actually works, you just draw it out. So if you needed a specific size, I suppose you would have to use the guides to create the size that you wanted, or use the rulers to help you get it to the right size. You need it very specific. And then the only way you can adjust the corner radius is by using this little blue thing here. It does tell you the radius, but if you needed it very specific, it might not be brilliant as far as that's concerned, but it's not really a major problem because you can still get it quite accurate, to be perfectly honest with you. And then you've got some options up here. You can choose to have it fill or stroke, and then you can also choose to have a shadow. The shape settings basically just brings up all the advanced options within the same window here. Okay, so that's a shape tool. So like I say, you've just got your more advanced shape settings here. So I'm going to show you the text tool next, and the way this works is you can either do it on a layer or you can just click and it creates it as a text layer, and it just makes it like a text box basically, and all you have control of is the width. The height's automatically defined by what the size of the text is that you choose. Of course it does show you what width you're dragging it out. If you need it to be a very specific width, and then you can of course select that. You can pick whichever font that you want to use from here, and then you can choose regular. That's all I've got there, and that's the only one thing that I'd like to mention about this is that you can't do like a faux bold and italic. If it doesn't come with a bold and italic version, this software can't turn it to make it a bold or italic version. Although I suppose it might be easier to do it manually, I'm not sure, by just duplicating the layer so it looks thicker. Possibly. I'm not sure, but that's something you could have to play around with. And then you've got all your text alignment options here, whether you want it in the centre, the top, or the bottom of the text box. And then you've got your line spacing here. Just going to leave that at 1. And then you've got the A and V, which is the distance between the letters. So for example, if I set that to 50%, it would be quite spaced out, or if I set it to -20%, it would be very close together. So you can get that specific. And if you need it very specific, for example, if 0% was too small, but 10% was too big, you can just type up here, custom amount, say 5%. And that's quite easy to do that. And what I'd like to point out is that there's a lot of features that this program has. For example, those advanced text options that other software such as Photoshop Elements, which is available, doesn't actually have. There's a lot of features as well, because for example Pixelmator has the pen tool. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. It just allows you to draw shapes. But Photoshop Elements doesn't have that feature. And in case you're wondering, the layers here, you can add layer masks. And another useful feature is you can group layers. So you've got layers here, and I've just, as you can see, selected those. And if I press Command and G, it groups them. You can alternatively right click on them and use this group or ungroup. And that's really handy because it's really, well, it's a really useful feature for organising the workspace. And of course you can go up to layer here at the top and you can add quick clip and masks, preserve transparency, etc. So you've got some more advanced options up there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is the filters up here. I'm not going to read every filter out because there's quite a lot, but I just go through the main categories. You've got distortion, blur, sharpen, stylize, halftone, tile, colour, generator, and transition. If you're wondering why they're greyed out, it's because my text is a text layer, and I would have to go over to layer and convert it to pixels so that it converts it as more like an image basically. And then if I go over to filter, it'll let me add any filters that I want. And then you've got Quartz Composer. Obviously in the view menu you can zoom, you can hide rulers and hide guides. If you want, you can have a grid enable. Okay, so that was all the filters etc. that's available. And that is pretty much the main features of Pixelmator. I'd love to go over everything in detail, but I just don't have time in this video. However, you can actually purchase this on the Mac App Store for £20.99, I believe is the standard price. And it's an absolutely fantastic application. I would give it a 5-star review. And another way, just one thing worth pointing out before I go, is you can actually use the full screen mode, which is quite nice when you're working. And that is one of the features among many other features that you don't get in Photoshop Elements. And of course, it's only a third of the price. So I definitely recommend Pixelmator. To be honest, it's one of the best graphic editing softwares that I came across for £20.99 as well. You can't grumble. It's a fantastic program. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.